The Joseph Series, Story Number 2, Joseph's Brothers Sell Him into Slavery, taken from Genesis chapter 37, verses 12 through 28. This story marks a dramatic and tragic turn in the life of Joseph, his father, and his entire family. As this story begins, Joseph is not with his brothers. For some reason, Jacob kept Joseph, and presumably his younger brother Benjamin, at home with him in Hebron. However, Jacob knew his sons were pasturing the flocks near Shechem. So Jacob was worried about their safety and sends Joseph to see if they are okay. You may recall that Jacob's sons had earlier slaughtered the men of Shechem after their sister Dinah was assaulted by one of the leading men of the town. So it is understandable that Jacob would be concerned for their safety. A caravan of Ishmaelite traders, also referred to as Midianites, is also mentioned in this story. The Midianites were the descendants of Abraham's wife Keturah, whom he married after the death of Sarah. They lived east of the Jordan River, and had intermarried with the Ishmaelites, the descendants of Abraham's son Ishmael, who lived south of Canaan, east of the Red Sea, in modern-day Saudi Arabia. Hundreds of years after this story, the deliverer Moses will find refuge in the home of a priestly Midianite family after escaping from the hand of Pharaoh in Egypt. Moses later marries one of the Midianite priest's daughters. Years later, God calls Moses to return to Egypt and lead the Israelites back to Canaan. How did the Israelites end up in Egypt? The answer to that question is found in this story. Now Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Your brothers are pasturing the flock near Shechem, aren't they? Come now, I'm going to send you to check on your brothers." And Joseph said to his father, "Here I am." So Jacob told Joseph, "Now go and see if everything is well with your brothers and with the flock, and then report back to me." So Jacob sent Joseph out from the valley of Hebron, and Joseph traveled as far as Shechem. And a man found Joseph wandering in the fields outside of Shechem. And the man asked Joseph, "What are you looking for?" "I'm looking for my brothers," Joseph said. "Can you please tell me where they are pasturing their flock?" And the man said, "They left this area, but I heard them say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph followed his brothers and caught up to them at Dothan. But Joseph's brothers recognized him from a distance, and as Joseph came closer, they conspired together about how to kill him. And they said to each other, "Look, here comes this dreamer. Come on, let's kill him and throw his body into one of these pits. We'll just say some fierce animal must have ripped him to shreds. Then we'll see what becomes of those dreams of his." But when Reuben heard what his brothers were planning, he tried to rescue Joseph out of their hands. And Reuben said to his brothers, "Let's not kill him. There's no need to get blood on our hands. Let's just throw him into one of these pits here in the wilderness. We don't need to kill him ourselves." Reuben was hoping to rescue Joseph out of his brothers' hands later on and return him safely to his father. So when Joseph came up to his brothers, they ripped his robe off of him, the multicolored robe that Joseph always wore, and they grabbed Joseph and threw him into a pit. Now the pit was empty. There wasn't any water in it. Then they sat down to eat. But when Joseph's brothers looked up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites approaching from the area of Gilead. The camels were loaded down with gum, balm, and myrrh, being carried on the road that went down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, "There's no money to be made by killing our brother and hiding his blood. Come on, let's sell Joseph to these Ishmaelites. There's no reason we have to kill him ourselves. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." And Judah's brothers agreed with him. So when the Midianite traders passed by, Joseph's brothers went and hauled him out. And after they lifted Joseph out of the pit, they sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. And the Midianite traders took Joseph down to Egypt. The Joseph series, story number 2. Joseph's brothers sell him into slavery, taken from Genesis chapter 37, verses 12 through 28.